Hi everyone, my name is Ryan and I'm the Midlife Skier. Being new to skiing, one of the first obvious things that interested me was learning more about skis. As I did research and watched many ski review videos on YouTube, I realized that there's a massive learning curve. It seemed like almost every ski review I saw was aimed at people that already had a huge amount of knowledge and experience. Today, I'm going to try to give a crash course on skis and ski reviews for the newer skier. This will hopefully enable you to better understand these reviews and make more informed decisions as you progress in your skiing journey. So let's get into it. As a disclaimer, please note that I am definitely not an expert. I'm an intermediate skier who's been at this for just over 1 year, though I have done a huge amount of research. There are some fantastic resources out there on YouTube where I learned most of what I'm talking about today. I highly recommend you check these out on your own. First would be Ski Essentials. Second would be Rickety Ski Reviews. And third would be the Ski Monster. One of the main ways to differentiate skis is by their width underfoot. This refers to how wide the ski is in millimeters underneath where your boot mounts to the ski. I've also heard this called the waist width. Different ski widths have different uses. Narrower skis are easier and quicker to turn. These are preferred for beginner skiers and those looking to ski and turn fast. Think ski racers. Wider skis are well suited for deeper uncompacted snow, also called powder, where the extra width allows them to float on top of the snow instead of sinking underneath the snow. These are often, accordingly, called powder skis. Let's put some numbers to this. Ski widths less than, I would say, 80 millimeters are considered to be narrow skis. For me, I would say ski widths over 100 millimeters, up to 120 millimeters and even above, are considered wide, or powder skis. Well, what about the widths between 80 millimeters and 100 millimeters? These are called all-mountain skis and offer a good mix of capability. So, which width is right for you? Well, of course, this depends on what your skill level is and what the typical conditions you like to ski in are. You'll often hear people talk about their ski quiver. This refers to having multiple different sets of skis, typically of different widths, to handle different conditions. If you can only have one pair of skis, most people end up with an all-mountain ski in the high 80s or low 90s millimeter width. Another important ski attribute is the ski length. This is given in centimeters. In general, longer skis tend to be more stable at speed and shorter skis are easier to turn. The usual recommendation is that you should get skis that go from the ground, or the floor, up to your eyeballs. So for example, I'm 5'10", which is 178 centimeters. Based on this, I typically use a ski length between 170 and 177 centimeters. If your weight is higher than average, you should bump up your ski length. Likewise, if you are lighter weight than average, you should go a little shorter. Note that these recommendations are really just for beginners and maybe intermediate skiers. As you progress, the range of ski lengths you can comfortably handle gets larger. Also note that while skis come in different lengths, the length typically increments by 3 to 5 centimeters. They generally do not have lengths every 1 centimeter. Which, by the way, this tripped me up when I was new. I was looking at skis and I'm like, oh, okay, I calculate I should be exactly this length. And when I was looking at skis, I'm like, all right, why can't I find this exact length? So this means that you just round from your ideal length to the nearest length that your desired ski comes in. Let's talk about ski construction. Many reviews will go into the layer construction of the ski. This refers to the different materials that ski makers sandwich together to construct the ski. You'll generally hear about different wood cores, ash, poplar, caruba. Honestly, I have no idea what the differences are between these different wood types and how they affect the performance of the ski. I assume some are stiffer, some are softer. What I do know is that there are often 2 other different materials that can be used in ski construction that do make a noticeable difference: Titanal and carbon. You'll sometimes see this in the ski model name, where there will be a TI for Titanal or a C for carbon. For example, I ski the Armada Declivity 88C, meaning it has carbon in there. Titanal is a thin metal that can help bring stiffness to the ski. especially the way the skis twist. Carbon tends to be softer and lighter, and incorporating it in a ski makes the ski easier to handle, a little lighter weight, easier to turn. If you want a stiff ski to push through chopped up snow and grab edge on hardpack, a ski with Titanal will generally work better. On the other hand, if you want a softer, easier to handle ski for progressing, a ski with carbon will generally work better. To keep things interesting, there are some ski models and brands, like Black Crows, that only use wood in their skis with neither Titanal nor carbon. Most modern skis today are shaped skis, meaning that the ski has an hourglass shape looking down on it while it lays on the snow, kind of wider at the tip, narrower in the middle or waist, and then wider at the tail. This shape is designed so as to make it much easier to initiate and complete turns. To enable this capability, shaped skis typically have a wider tip, narrower middle or underfoot, and then a wider tail, as I just said. Most skis specify these three widths, but it's not really very helpful to compare them to each other. More helpful, most skis also specify the turn radius of the ski. This is the radius of the circle that the ski would naturally make given its shape. A smaller turn radius means a more aggressively shaped ski that can turn tighter. A larger radius means a more relaxed shape that facilitates slow and smooth turns. Another aspect of shaping is the rocker and camber of the ski. If you look at a ski from the side, edge on, you'll see a clear rocker or bowing shape at the tip, where the tip kind of curves up. And sometimes at the tail, where they arc above the level of the middle of the ski. Camber is just the opposite of this rocker, where the middle of the ski is the highest point and both ends arc down from the middle. Most skis today employ some combination of rocker in the tips and tail and a bit of camber in the middle 75% of the ski. This combination gives the ski a kind of gentle W shape from the side view. The amount of rocker and camber that a ski has determines a lot about how it turns, how smooth it is, how much spring or pop it gives you coming into and out of turns. But honestly, I don't know enough about this to offer any general rules on which is better and the exact impact that each one has. Another big difference between skis is if they're directional or twin tip. A twin tip ski has a lifted tip and tail, front and back of the ski, so that you can ski it normal going forward and you can ski it equally well going backwards. On the other hand, a directional ski has a clear raised tip, as you would expect, and a mostly flat tail that locks in when you're skiing to give you better control and tighter turning. Twin tips are typically associated with park skis and freestyle terrain where skiers do tricks and jumps. Directional skis are more associated with speed and carving, especially on groomed slopes. Let's talk about top, bottom, and sides of skis. The top sheet of a ski is the design, or sticker or decal, that is placed on top of the ski. This is the least important part of the ski for performance. It has zero impact on how the ski skis or feels. And yet, it's often the most important part to people who are buying new skis. I would humbly suggest that this should be the last thing you think about in shopping for a new pair of skis. Also, note that most ski makers carry over a ski design exactly the same for a few years, only changing the top sheet design year to year. If this is the case for a ski you're interested in, you can save a fair amount of money by buying an older model year version of the ski. Yes, maybe the top sheet looks different, but the ski is identical. The bottom of the ski is called the base. This is meant to be slippery on snow and very flat and smooth. After a season or several days of use, you usually want to have your bases waxed to restore the slipperiness. The sides of the ski are called the sidewalls. These are the hard edges that bite into the snow and hardpack to turn the ski. These edges can become dull and rounded from use, so similar to waxing your bases, these edges need to periodically get sharpened up. This is called tuning. Most ski shops will do what they call a wax and tune for a fairly small amount of money, so make sure to get this done or do it yourself periodically. The final major piece of a ski is the binding. The bindings are the metal and plastic connectors sitting on top of the ski that your boots click into. Confusingly to me, the binding is sold separately from the ski in most cases. although many beginner skis do often come with the bindings. Bindings consist of a front toe piece and a back heel piece. The heel piece typically includes the metal brake that pops downward to stop your ski if your boot comes out of the ski. Runaway skis are a bad thing. Note that bindings need to be installed or mounted onto a new pair of skis. This is an intricate installation generally best done by professionals since it dramatically affects the safety of the ski. The main thing to understand about bindings is that they are usually rated to handle a certain range of DIN settings, D-I-N, DIN. A DIN setting is a number that represents how hard or easy it is for a boot to pop out of a binding. The DIN setting is critical to get right as it has a massive safety impact. If the DIN setting is too low, you'll pop out of your skis unexpectedly during normal use. If the DIN is too high, your boot will stay locked into the ski during and after a fall, potentially resulting in major leg injuries. When you get a binding set or rent a ski, you usually have to fill out a form with your height, weight, and skier type, 1, 2, or 3. Skier type 1 is cautious, skier type 2 is normal, skier type 3 is aggressive. Using these three numbers put together, height, weight, and skier type, there's a standardized calculation to figure out what your DIN setting should be. For example, as an intermediate skier, my DIN calculation normally comes out around 6.5 or 7. An aggressive expert skier could need a DIN of 13, 14, or even higher. I think 18 is the highest. On the other hand, a first-time skier is probably going to warrant a DIN of 2 or 3 or 4. So, most bindings specify the range of DIN that they can handle. Some handle only up to 9 or 10, some handle up to 13 or 14, and some handle even much higher, 16, 17, or 18, or even higher. Generally, the higher the DIN that the binding can handle, the sturdier and more expensive that they tend to be. Other than this, picking the binding is really just an aesthetic choice. Let's wrap this crash course up. Finding out about skis and all of the options that there are can be daunting when you're new to it, but if you dig in and learn a bit, it can become quite fun. Of course, the best way to learn is to go hang out at your local ski shop. They're usually the best resource and will rarely steer you wrong. Another great way to learn is to just get out there and ski. Demo as many different skis as you can. See what you like and what you don't. Also, make sure to talk to folks on the chairlift. See what they're skiing and what they like. I've picked up a lot of great intel that way. I hope this information was helpful. Please drop a line in the comments below on anything that I got wrong or that could use more clarification. As I said, I am no expert on this. So, with all that being said, I hope you have a great day.